All right. Do you want a rundown? Has anybody read it? It's okay if you haven't. Okay, one person at the other table had. I was explaining to her what it was about, and she was like, "Yeah, I already read it." So I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing that again. But yeah, so this is a realist book. It's supposed to be both kind of quirky and funny, but also kind of heartbreaking in equal measure. You might cry if you're capable of feeling human emotions.
50-50.
yeah. So the basic story is that there's a teenage girl who has been in an online relationship with someone she only met once in person. That person commits suicide, and right when she's starting to grieve for him, she gets a message from his account. And I won't tell you what happens next. But the other part of it is that she comes home. She drops out of school and she comes home to be with her dad while she's going through this, and he runs a funeral business that specializes in like strange, out of the ordinary funerals. Like you can have your ashes turned into fireworks and like exploded in the sky, or like so while she's going through this, she's helping her dad. She starts to help him with his business to try to like plan the funerals and like get over and figure out her own kind of like grief and the mystery of what's going on while that's happening. So that's the basic story, and it's first person from the main character Tess. It's hard for me to capture the authenticity of a teenage girl's voice, but the person who's already read it said I did okay. So I like getting a little bit of it. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions about it.
So it sounds like you play kind of a lot with the concepts of, death and how we see that, how we ritualize it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what kind of preparation or research you did as you were going through some of the different funerals.
Yeah. So I read a lot of books about it, and I contacted people who have some of these businesses that do these kind of unorthodox things. And I started off finding a lot of it kind of funny and goofy and being like, really, people want to do this? But then like talking to people about it, like you realize that, I don't know, our conception of what a funeral is like, we kind of are, I think, socialized to think about it in a certain way, but really there are like so many from all over the world, so many different ways that like people ritualize that or find meaning in it, that it started to become really interesting to me, like why a person would want to like have their ashes turned into a fake reef and put under the ocean or something like, and people feel very strongly about it, and so it became a really kind of fascinating thing for me to research. So read a ton of books, talked to people who were sort of in that industry, and then the other thing that kind of prompted this book was that I actually had a friend online that I only knew in that space who committed suicide, and it was very sad, obviously, but it was also a really strange experience for me. I'm a little older than you guys, so I came to social media later. Okay, I came to social media a little later, and so that was the first time anything like that had ever happened, where I was like, I only knew someone as their kind of online persona, and then thinking about like, well, I'm grieving this person, like I'm sad about this, but also I never met them. And so that idea, which I'm sure is like, I was talking to some of the people at the other table about, they've had friends in the book world, right, that they've only just met like here or something, they've known for like 2 years, which I think, is a really cool thing. Thank you. But what would it be like if you like had a friend you only knew, or a romantic partner that you only knew in that space, and then they were gone? And so that kind of was the sort of question that I couldn't stop asking myself to sort of write the book.
It seems like there's been a surge of suicide-themed books or death itself, especially in YA, and especially after 13 Reasons Why Netflix.
Sure, right.
Why do you think that it's such a hot topic at the moment?
Well, I feel like in a way it's kind of timely, just because like you read about it a lot, and it is like a real danger for like people in that age range, and so for me, I wanted to get into it in a way that like the more that the character finds out about it, the more it tries to deal with mental illness in a kind of realistic way, not in a way that sort of like glorifies suicide, but in a way that's sort of like, if it remains untreated, if there's a stigma surrounding it, if people are not feeling comfortable talking about it, like this can happen, and so ideally the character's story is one where you go back and you're like, I wish things were different in the ways that we talked about mental illness, in the way that people who have anxiety, depression, all that, like, thought about it themselves. Like, if we could get to a better place with that, maybe something like this wouldn't have happened. So that's a sort of angle of approach I have. I know, like, with 13 Reasons Why too, in the show, people are saying that there's a possible glorification of it, and there's been that kind of argument. And I was thinking about that when I was writing it too. Like, how can I approach this in a way where it feels like I'm acknowledging that this happens sometimes, but not in a way that sort of makes it seem like this amazing like plot point that makes people think that it's like a viable option or something. Yeah, but it was sort of a struggle to do that because to avoid some of the sort of pitfalls that come with that. Mm-hmm.
What kind of research? Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go first.
Yeah, I already asked a question last time. You can go ahead.
What is your favorite line in this one?
My favorite line? Oh man, that's a tough one.
Do you want to look through?
No. I was like reading it. I feel like, so when I write a first draft, I write like I never met a joke I didn't like. I just put all the jokes in there, and some of them are really bad. And I know there were a few that got cut. Like some that I was interested in, because Tess is kind of like a sarcastic, funny character, and so she has these moments. And my editor was like, we can only keep the best ones. So like you have to cut. So there were some that ended up on the cutting room floor that I really miss. I'm totally like blanking on. I'm just trying to think of like the best and or dirtiest ones. Because she kind of has.
You could also do your best line.
Yeah, that's true.
Which
Okay,
might
all
not
right.
necessarily be your favorite.
Yeah. It's a tough question.
Which one is the one that gets blurbed a lot, I guess? Like.
On all of them? Yeah. I think it's probably like some kind of line about her relationship with the guy online and not knowing him. I think they usually for the blurbs just kind of put like a really quick summation like right now. Where they're just kind of like what it means to like love and feel lost and love again, or some of those things. Yeah. All right,
I'll read it and I'll tell you what my favorite.
Please tell me what the best line is.
Memory test.
Just pick a random line from the book right now.
I like all the lines. Do I have to pick one?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Thank you. I hope you do. Nobody's read this except for like people at Penguin and my wife. So.